from the knitting school in Seattle, and this is another video based off of a question I had from a student, picking up drop stitches using the riverbed. So when you have drop stitches while you're ribbing, it's a little bit trickier than when you're just working with one bed, because the fabric is down between the two beds and not easily accessible. So I'm going to show a couple of different scenarios of fixing drop stitches. My two top tips for this process are, as soon as you can, take the weight off the fabric, because that's going to stop it getting worse, and it's also going to make picking up the stitches a little easier. You're not fighting against the weight of the weight on the comb. And secondly, quite often when you are cabling or decreasing, you may drop stitches, and I would recommend uncabling. Like if you've moved your stitches and you have a drop stitch, unmove them, and that'll show you much easier where that drop stitch is, and you'll be able to pick it up. Same thing with decreasing, just move those stitches back out to where they were before the drop stitch happens. In this instance, I've dropped a stitch while I was cabling, and the stitch is down in there somewhere, but it's almost impossible for me to find it whilst these stitches are still crossed over. So I'm going to uncross them by taking that stitch off, putting these two back where they started, and then putting this needle stitch back on its needle. And then if I drop the bed down a little bit, that's really stiff, then I can start to find that needle or that drop stitch in there, and I can see it down here. I've got most of it, but not all of it. Okay, here we've got it, and I put it on my latch tool with the latch facing the same way as the needle that it came off of. And so now I can just re-knit that loop up. And then hang it back up on. Here I've got a couple of drop stitches, one on the main bed and one on the riverbed. And the first thing I'm going to do is take my weight off of the comb, and I usually put my weight up on top of the needle bed, and that's just a reminder for me that there's no weight on the comb. Next, I'm going to drop down the riverbed on the side where the stitches have dropped. So over on the left-hand side, I'm going to drop it down part way so that I can get in there and see what's going on. And this is a handy little tool for picking up needles from the riverbed. So first of all, I'm just going to pick up the stitches to stop them getting any worse. Actually, I feel like this one would be better in this situation, the single-ended transfer tool. So I'm going to put that on the needle there, and then put this one on here. And since this isn't too bad of a drop stitch situation, I'm just going to pick them up. If there was a lot more that had unraveled here, I would probably pick them up and then unravel a few rows. But I've just got two here, so I'll just try picking them up in the usual way. And so first of all, I want to take everything off the needle except the loop and the lowest unknit float, which is this one, which I'm going to hold above the needle, slide the needle under it towards me until the loop goes past the latch, and then drop the float into the latch and pull back and re-knit it. And then same with this one. And then this one. And then looks like all I have to do on the riverbed is that one. And now we're back in business. We've got a bit more of a bad situation here where a whole bunch of stitches have fallen off the edge of the knitting. So I'm going to drop down the riverbed on the right hand side so that I can access some of those drop stitches. And of course take off my weight. And then I'm going to start picking up whatever I can find there. Try and get them back up on the needles. And I'll initially just put everything up on the main bed. Try and get it in the right place. But it doesn't matter too much if you get it in the wrong place, because we'll fix that in a minute. It's a little bit hard to tell. I feel like there's a stitch there, but I can't find it right now. Here's one. And then two at the end. So I've picked most things up now. I'm just going to unravel a couple of rows so I get a better idea of what's going on. Let's see, does that help at all? Yeah, a little bit. So now I think I can move these two down. They should be on the riverbed. And that one too. And then this is a riverbed needle. And then so is this one here, I think. Well, we lost that one for the moment. There it is. Okay. I think I'm going to push up the bed and just unravel a few more rows. Might need a little weight on to ease that. Push these back down into their hooks so that I can unravel. They've got to be in the hooks when you unravel. Sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. Let's pick up those end ones again. Well, I just had a phone call on my phone while I was in the middle of that video. That's the trials of videoing using your phone. So I'm still at this situation with the drop stitches. I'm just going to carry on trying to find all of the stitches at this point and get them up on the needles. I'm not sure I'm getting these in the right order, but all will become clear. And now I can see the stitches that should be up on these two empty needles here. That one. And what's going on here? Ah, it's stuck on the gate peg. So that's that one. Okay, that looks much clearer. I think it's a little confusing here because I'm almost at the 1x1 rib before I transition to like a 4x2 rib. So it's showing that some needles should be on the riverbed when in fact they shouldn't. So it looks good. Now we just need to fix the end. So I'm going to move these out so I can see better. I think that's where they should be anyway. And then this guy should be down on the riverbed. I'm going to move him. And then this is a main bed needle. And I think we're back in business. So I'm just going to pull my slack yarn back. And push the bed up. Now we're ready to start knitting again. So I know it can be immensely frustrating when you drop stitches while you're working on your precious garment and you maybe have already put in an hour and a half and suddenly half of the fabric falls off the machine. Believe me, it's happened to me many, many times. So another top tip would be to step away from the machine. Just take a break from it, come back when you're not so caught up in the drama of the fabric falling off. And then just take a little time to assess the situation and work on fixing it. If you just started a piece of fabric and you have a big loss of stitches, then it's probably quicker to just start again. But if you're almost at the top of a piece of fabric, it's definitely worth spending 15-20 minutes trying to fix it. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you are interested in machine knitting, please check out my website at the Knitting School, www.theknittingschool.com. Check out the classes I have posted for 2019. Also subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and I'd love to see questions and comments on the feed below.